Okay, earlier when I think I did that little quick generation one because I had forgot. Let's see. When I had finished recording, I had forgot, and then I did one, but it was really short. So I thought, I'll just put it on TikTok. And I was like, wait, I need to talk about this more, about this generation division. There's more that needs to be said. So I did one. And I think it was when I did that one, I had to stop and pause this movie. Well, anyways, I just finished this movie. It's called Northern Borders. And there's a few things I wanted to talk about. And it's funny because I was sitting there, I was writing it down. Okay, I'll just talk about this tomorrow. And then I was like, why? Why? We don't even know. We don't even know. We got to be present. We got to be here and now. I mean, we can't plan on tomorrow. I mean, everything in the world is showing us that, right? We have to be in the here and now. We have to live like there is no tomorrow. And that is being shown to us, how every moment matters in our life. Not that it matters, but it matters. We have to be so present in every moment and understand the significance and important that it will weigh on us later when we don't have those moments, because death shows us all about that. How we feel, we waste moments, and we don't have perspective of that until we have loss. So anyways, this movie had it all. It had a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about, and I'm not going to wait till tomorrow. So anyways, there was an interesting thing because I just talked about the food thing, and I had been talking about it with my friend before. So, that's why, it'd be on my mind. And so we were talking about it like a couple weeks ago, and then she brought it up again. And she was talking about like how she's seeing that in her own life when she heals things, that then her body starts reflecting that she is not holding on to weight that she was holding on to. And she couldn't figure out how to lose it. She was struggling and all that stuff. We were having these talks about it. And so then when she started healing these really deep wounds that she'd carried, that she didn't even know were wounds, she just thought it was part of her story, part of how she began to identify herself from the parameters of this world, which we're all getting this opportunity right now to look at so we can heal. And it's deep, deep stuff. And so she had noticed about, like a thing about success. What is success? We define success by what we think is successful, but it's being told to us what is successful. Because when we really think about it, it's not what they tell us. People that go out and try and gain success find out, hey, that's not the answer. Success, what they tell you as successful, doesn't make you feel whole and complete. So is it success, really? So anyways, she's been talking about those things, those kind of big things that you carry for your whole life. Like, I'm not successful because I haven't done this. And plus we set so many expectations for ourselves. We set the bar way up there. Like, we haven't reached our goal unless we have climbed the highest mountain, right? So then, we make things so hard on ourselves. So if we just live in the day and we just live for that day and we don't set all this expectation and all these limitations, then we can be present and we can actually, what is the word? It is really truly learning and living when you're present in the moment, when you're not living for all of these different expectations, creation of fantasy of like what you expect from yourself. But those kinds of things are what locks people into these paradigms, these limiting beliefs, these structures that they gave us the tools to build. So anyways, when she was talking about that and starting to realize like, oh my gosh, I am successful. I am a really successful person. I'm a happy person. I have good relationships. When I leave the room, people are anxious to get to talk to me again. I make people feel good about themselves. I help people see a better perspective for themselves. Those kinds of things. That's successful as your relationships with others. What do you, like I've talked about before, how do people feel when you leave the room? That is what, that is what you're leaving behind. That is what is behind you. That is who you are. So there's, I get so many things going in my head. That movie that was, I had talked about it before. It was so cool, but there's no way I could remember the name of it. But it was something where this girl from another planet had come, and the people, they couldn't hide their emotions. They couldn't hide their, what I said was like ancestry and all the voices in their head, the voices that are talking to us that a lot of people don't even have awareness of. But it was shown in the physical, and she didn't have that. Hers were hidden, but everybody's else was exposed. And that is what, it kind of shows me in my head, is that kind of perspective, right? Is that, I kind of got lost. I do that every time I go off and try and re-explain something else. So let me just go back to what I was talking about. Okay, so and there's so many things in this movie I want to talk about. Okay, so the healing and how it will help you with your physical being. And so in all these really deep wounds that people are trying to heal and bring to the surface, and all of the things happening on the planet are to help you get that opportunity to recognize, to see yourself, to understand yourself so that you can heal these things. So anyways, when she was talking about that, because she was talking, like most people, I would like to lose 10 pounds, or I'd like to lose 20 pounds. And it's always a struggle. I'm always at this plateau or something. But she said that when she started healing this stuff, that all of a sudden the weight was just falling off of her. So then she was like more interested in talking about like this concept, because she's really good about the healing, being able to visualize and heal herself. And I think that's something that she's going to be teaching people, because she's really, really good at it. So anyway, she understands about how we perceive. Our physicality is what we perceive. It is, we create it. So, and we have control over it. And so that's why I'm saying, when you start loving yourself and taking care of yourself, it shows. You become beautiful. You just shine because you love yourself. And so I've talked about this so many times, but so she was noticing that this weight was just falling off of her. She wasn't having to do anything about it. It was just coming off because it was naturally occurring, because she was healing things. She was letting go of things. And so in this movie, it has Bruce Dern, and he's old. I think he even kind of had some padding. Like, he always had this big jacket on, but I think he kind of had a jacket under a jacket, so he looked a lot bigger and thicker, especially for Bruce Dern. You think of him as being kind of a scrawny, frail kind of looking guy. I would imagine him as an old man being more a scrawny looking, homeless looking character. But in this, he was like thick and an old, mad, angry farmer. And so he had just problems with all his relationships. With his anger and his resentment, and things didn't turn out the way he wanted, apparently, but he always kind of was crusty. Like, when it seemed like when he was telling some old stories, he was always kind of crusty. So, these things start at a young age, our perspective of how we see the hand we're dealt. If we come at it thinking life is fucking us over, life's so hard, and this is happening to me, not for me, then it gives us this different perception about life, right? And that's where this whole idea of life's so hard, life sucks. And so his was a traumatic event that happened when he was younger. And it was a girl who he was with, but they had this weird relationship when he was talking about it anyways. But they wouldn't speak, but she was Native American, and he was like an old farmer. Because this movie, he's an old man, and this movie is supposed to be set in the 50s. So, he was, I don't know if he's back, as a settler or something. I don't know. Not all that ways back. But, he's living way out rural, way out in the mountains in the 50s. So, the one person would be the doctor, the sheriff, the grocery store, like that kind of town. So he was with this girl that they would never talk. They just go out and track and hunt together. And then she got pregnant, And they never got married, but they always just considered themselves together. And they would just like live out kind of Native American, kind of Indian lifestyle or something. And she got pregnant, and then she had this baby, and the baby died, and she died. And then he got together with somebody else and had this whole family. But he was so mean. He was so, he just pushed everyone away. Everyone in the town thought he was the meanest old devil. That's what he would be called, the mean old devil. And nobody would want to have anything to do with him. But it's him. It's what he's putting out, right? It's what he's leaving behind. It's his own anger that he's carrying, his own resentment. And what I noticed about the weight thing is, so when he had pushed everyone away from the dinner table with his meanness, everybody just kept getting up. His kids never were there. They're there for this birthday party. And he just keeps saying mean shit to all of them, and to the point where they just get up like, I'm not dealing with this. And he was mean. Like, he said really mean stuff. And then he just took his plate and he went out in the garage or out in a barn or something and was eating by himself. And he was just sitting there eating. And I don't really think Bruce Dern is as thick as this guy, but it made me think about a lot of older people, especially from the generation where they weren't allowed to speak so much. Stuff your emotions. Don't talk about them. A man wouldn't show emotions. That would make him weak. A woman needs to keep stuff private. And so there was a lot more restrictions, like what I was talking about yesterday. There was so much rules by the Christian lifestyle, the Christian way of living, right? So a lot of these old people, they didn't talk about their problems and stuff. And when the world is showing them how to age, and they're holding on to pain and suffering, they haven't been taught how to express themselves, how to talk about painful things. They've been taught to keep secrets. So they hold on to this anger, and a lot of it's towards themselves because they've made decisions for themselves that makes them angry. Notice if you ever lose your temper and yell at somebody, you're going to feel bad because you lost your temper. So you, on a larger scale, you're going to constantly be feeling bad. Like I had said before, my dad has seemed like, he had to get drunk the next day just to cover up what he did the day before. It's just like a cycle all the time. When you go out and you say hurtful things, it hurts you. So if you choose drinking, then, or you choose anger, whatever you choose, instead of choosing to deal with it and figuring out why you're angry, what are you holding on to? But also, if you think about a lot of older people, when they get more, it is like they insulate themselves to keep themselves feeling like putting a big blanket around themselves, kind of. And, they tell us, oh, your metabolism's slowing. Oh, you're weak. Oh, you're that. No, we've seen 90-year-olds who can ride a bike. No, it's all in here. So you don't deal with the problems. So then you start to pad yourself. You start to kind of insulate yourself because people are sending this energy your way that is painful because you are going out, you're just showing yourself, but you don't realize yourself is so moody and mad and angry. You just, because you're living it, you don't know how you're affecting the other people. So then you are putting this cushion around yourself, but you're getting more and more angry and more bitter. And then you are making worse relationships for yourself because you are being mean and hurtful. So you're pushing people away. And so this insulation that it's like a barrier to the world that they begin to create. And I think it has a lot to do with why older people gain so much weight. I don't think it's as natural as what they say it is. I think it's a lot of emotional baggage. It's the pain we carry. It's how we insulate ourselves to keep ourselves feeling either a cushion from the pain or to keep us feeling safe inside. And then also, you can go the other route where you're just punishing yourself, like by starvation and throwing up and all of these kinds of things, because you have to have a healthy relationship with food. You have to have a healthy relationship emotionally to have a healthy relationship with food. Like that has been shown to us clearly. So I found that really fascinating. It was like, you know, a little flower sprouted out of that. And all of a sudden when I saw, oh, you know, he's thick and he's eating alone, and it is that he is creating this barrier for himself. He isn't healing. He isn't letting go of things. He's holding on to things, because we hold on to weight. We hold on to these cushions when we get into those kind of unsafe kind of where we don't want to be exposed. Look at how much it's so hard for people to become vulnerable and expose themselves for who they are, and they feel shame and feel like they are being punished by the world, because we have created this world where we can't accept people for their differences. We're trying to conform everybody to be the same, but that's what we were taught. It's up to us to break free from our teachings. And so the other thing too that they had that I thought was really, really cool is, so this grandma had come over. She's the mom of the kids, but this is the little boy's perspective. This whole movie, he goes and meets these grandparents for the first time. As this crusty old man in this little town, and there's all sorts of secrets and family secrets and drama. And the grandma and the grandpa don't even speak. And that's another thing, is it was making me think about, like, they had been together for 40 or 50 years or something, and they didn't even speak. They hated each other. And even they would have a little festival in town, and which I didn't know how to make maple syrup, but I guess they would grind into the tree and then drain the what's that called, the sticky stuff that comes out of the tree. But you know what I'm talking about. So that's how they would make the maple syrup. They would do it into the maple trees, and then they go in and cook it and do all this stuff. But the husband and wife would be in competition in this fair every year. They never worked together. It's like they didn't even like each other. And they lived their whole lives like that. Like, it became a part of who they were. Like, why would you be satisfied to, like, you have no value to yourself, that you think all your worth is to spend your whole life fighting with somebody? I was just like, that was fascinating right there. It's like, you know, you have to love yourself to get to that point of knowing you deserve more. And so, and these were old people. And so the old lady, she was Egyptian, and she'd come across on the ship, and apparently it was like in the 1800s when she had come across, and she and her sister were orphaned. I don't know if they were orphaned on the trip over, or they were orphans sent over to America, but on their ship, she talked about that there was all of these mummies and stuff, and she was talking about what they were doing, and they were digging up. This is really horrible, you know. It would be like if we just went into, you know, ancient Indian burial grounds, started digging people up and burning them and stuff. So that's what they did with the Egyptians, and they dug them up, and then they tried to use them for fire and stuff like that. So on the ship, they were trying to burn the mummies, and they were just really disrespectful of the dead. And so she was a child, and she was seeing this, you know, and this was her, you know, her connection to this place. And so she and her sister, you know, they came over, and then they just had to work hard all the time. But she always had these ties to Egyptian. She had Egyptian history, Egyptian culture, the art and stuff. And she had this room, and it was all done like that. And she had things that she had collected and stuff. She was a very interesting lady. I really liked her. But she ended up dying, and she had specific things that she wanted done. And that's what I thought was so cool, because when I was watching this about this ceremony and this woman's death and her funeral and everything that happened, I was like, man, that's all they've done is commercialize funerals. I mean, there used to be a real ceremony it wasn't just a place to show up, you know, and show you're a good person, you like this person, and you get to wear that black dress. No, it was a true ceremony. You know, they'd keep the dead person in the house for a while so you could go in and talk to them and, you know, be there with them. And then there would be a whole ceremony to letting go of the person. And I thought it was really cool, because she, in her letter to her husband, what she wanted done was stuff that they did in Egypt or something. You know, she wanted to take, oh, it's going to make me cry. I didn't know it was going to make me sad or, you know, emotional. but she wanted to take the things that were important to her and have them buried with her. And the whole ceremony, because they had it just this funeral in the parlor, it was just the family. And then the Bruce Dern had made the casket out of wood. He was a wood person, you know, he made wood and he made things. And he was old, crusty as old farmer guy, but he cared about people, but he was just crusty. Oh my gosh. And the so that was cool. Oh my gosh, this casket was it was beautiful. It was like a work of art. And then it was really beautiful too how they it wasn't a velvet cushion, it was branches and stuff. It was really, really pretty. And so the whole ceremony was really beautiful, the way that they presented it and stuff. And, they got to go in and see her, give something to her to take with her, and then did the burial. And then they had to carry her down to the hole, and then they lowered her down. And the whole thing with all of the ceremony and stuff, I thought, there's so much lost in what they tell us now to do when people die. There used to be so much more to the process of respect and not admiring, but acknowledgement of that person's existence, of what was important to them, and then letting them go, And I think there's so much that they just have tainted and turned and made it dirty. And there's so many more things that we could do that would make us feel more whole and complete. And these ceremonies are more important. It's way more important to have the people who are really your close people to be there, to have this letting go of your energy, to process this as the ones that are closest to you, to process that and to let it go. And because they have to let go of your energy. There's so much about what I talk about with ghosts and all that stuff. We can pull people back into us all the time. All we got to do is think of them. And like, I can't let go of Lucy, my dog that I had before Stella, and why I'm such a weirdo baby about Stella. Because Lucy died when she was 13 months old, completely unexpected. And, I felt so much guilt for every fucking time I left the house, and she would have such anxiety. It was the first dog I ever had that just tore up all the furniture. She ate the couch. She would just tear everything up. I'd come home, every pillow would be ripped up. The couch would be torn to shreds. I was like, oh my God. I would get so mad. I wouldn't hit her or something like that, but I would go in my room and cry and tell my mom, I don't think I can keep her. I don't know what to do. And I just felt so horrible then when she left me. And I felt so guilty for not being there when she needed me. And I have not been able to let go of that still. Her ashes are right there. So, that's the thing that has to do with time and death and all of this stuff. That is what it is why we have to be so present in the moment. I was sitting there trying to save something that was already dead, and I didn't have time for what was right before me. Obviously, I have something to process. But it is true. And that is, why we have to be present. We have to be real. We have to be in the moment. We have to, talk to people who have hurt us or whatever, especially in this time right now, while there is so many people transitioning off of the planet. And, it's so much stuff happening, but everything is for us to all wake up, for all consciousness to get to this new state of being. Everything is for that. Every person who's leaving you, everything is happening for you to heal, to get to that state of being, that state of bliss, for you to get control over your consciousness and to break free from this system that has it trapped right now. You think of trapped, and death and the same kind of thing. But when they have this reincarnation recycle to pull you back in, and plus the reincarnation in itself, you have all of these aspects you have to play out. So there is, where you are going to go back. But the manipulation and stuff that goes on in this reality that has people thinking that certain things that are true aren't true and what isn't true is true, like all of this confusion, that is what we need to break free from. That is where we need to break free from the illusion, because it's all based on manipulation and lies. So, and that is all changing because of the changing of the ages anyways. That's why it's all coming to the surface. But anyways, everything that is happening is for your consciousness to go through this experience, for this ascension, for you to elevate yourself. And anyways, that's a whole bunch of stuff that hopefully it made sense. It all goes together in my mind, but there is so much to there's just so much to all of the stuff that is about, life and death and this world and this reality, and why your soul chooses to come into this reality, and how the ages and the generations are all linked together to create the cloth of life. Like, it's all goes together. So I don't know, maybe I'm saying it all really disjointed, but it's hard to explain stuff. Like I've said, it's hard to explain stuff when you can see it, but it's hard. I wish I could just take it out and just hand it. You could just download it in and then give it back, because it's a lot easier than trying to explain it. Plus, everything that we understand is only to the level we understand. Everything that comes in is fed through a processor that is only, it's only a whatever model. It can't be, a VH2 and then do the work of a VH6, It can only do what it can do, because that's how it's processed, downloaded to process. And so even when somebody talks and you can be saying certain things in certain words, somebody who understands a VH6 or whatever could understand it, but somebody who is running on a VH2 wouldn't understand it, because their processing is going to tell them that everything means something different, because they can only understand it to what they understand it. So it's going to sound different. They're going to process each word different. They're going to process each thing different. So that's what I'm saying. There's always this limitation over words. If you could just see what is like it's shown to me. And that's why I'm always like, if everybody could just connect for themselves, just work on that connection, because everybody has this ability. I mean, before we used to think, there's certain people that are psychic. There's certain people that are, have more supernatural, spiritual gifts and stuff like that. We all have them. It just is, do we exercise them? Do we work them out? And that's why we need to be working them out right now. That's what's important, is to work on your connection, because then I'm telling you, they'll start flooding you with stuff. You will start having so many answers that you'll be like me, like, I gotta go share them. There's way too many. So anyways, I just wanted to share those ones. I thought that they were interesting. And, I just want to say too, that we will get through this, I mean, we just got to ride out the hard days, and just remember, like, think of it as kind of like a long river road, a river rafting trip or something. It has the calm periods, and then it has the really rough periods, and it has the calm periods. And I'm talking about on an emotional level. It's the emotions that are being affected through all of this, because, there is this connection that we have to facilitate between the head and the heart, the mind and the soul, the mind, body, spirit connection. And, that there's a lot of emotions involved in healing yourself and facing yourself and understanding yourself and looking deeper into yourself, and trying to, instead of, when you are dealing with somebody, instead of seeing what is being brought up for them, trying to recognize what's being brought up for me. That's a challenge. Okay. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.